when you think about the spectrum of diverse identities within a corporation, the women's initiative program strategy is usually at the forefront of what the organization has been doing the longest, what they're most proud of. If it's an ERG, it's the one where most of the employees are members or connected to. But sometimes we miss that intersectional lens. So if there are leaders that are on, whether executive level leaders or mid-level leaders, how would you encourage them to be more thoughtful about ensuring that their gender equity strategies and programs are also intersectional?
I think it sounds really simplistic, but how often are women involved in the decision making? And then are you consistently surveying your women employees and asking what their specific needs are? I think oftentimes what I see is that people who aren't part of a community are making decisions about that community. And so I love this saying, nothing about us without us. And essentially, like anytime you're creating a policy, I think the people that are directly impacted by that policy should be in the room, should be part of the decision making, or you should be taking their feedback into consideration. So it sounds really simple, but a lot of workplaces I go into, that isn't the case. Or there's a case where there's only one woman in the room and there's 5 decision makers. And when you're the only person in the room, as I'm sure many of us have experienced, it can be difficult to advocate for yourself and advocate for the needs of your particular community or of any particular community. So I think being more intentional about surveying your women employees or whatever group you're assessing, like what do they need? And then making sure that there are people who are part of that group in the decision-making process.
Yeah. You mentioned that as I'm thinking of it as like a key indicator for people to know whether or not the organization is serious about the work. What would you add to that list? Because I'm sure there are women that are listening that are thinking, okay, well, yes, my company has all of these great programs, initiatives. We're always talking about what we do for women, but my experience is different. My experience isn't aligned with the great work that we're doing. So it feels like lip service. It feels inauthentic. What would you say to that woman to ensure that she is seen and heard, and how can she be an advocate so that those two connect?
That's actually a really great question, because last week I did a workshop for a company and there was a middle manager in the room or in the workshop. And she asked me, a Black woman, and she asked me, what do I do if I'm in this leadership position, but I don't feel like I have the ability to fully make change, right? My company's doing great work, but I don't get along with, or I have friction with my direct manager. And so one of the things that I suggested to her is finding the change agents outside of that particular manager. There may be other people in leadership that you vibe with or that you connect with. And so really like partnering with them and maybe opening up to them to see if you're able to create a relationship so that you can be able to accomplish certain things. Because, it can feel like there are barriers, and sometimes those barriers are people, right? Especially if you are a woman and you're a woman with a certain level of power. So I think finding those change agents in leadership can be really impactful, in trying to partner with them and trying to sort of figure out like, how can I navigate this situation? And I think that can be instrumental, especially if you don't necessarily like get along with the person that you report to or that you that is your direct manager.